Getting everybody settled before I come on. Put this in. Oh. Ooh, there's the runway. You guys are sweet. Hello. Happy hump day. Yes. I had anticipated, since Sophia went back to school, that like life was going to get easier because like we're on a routine and I'll be able to go live during her basketball practice, which is Mondays and Wednesdays at 6. And Tim will take her and I will be able to hop on here. What I didn't anticipate in that period of time is Tim getting sick, Sophia and I then getting a stomach bug this week. I mean, it just like all plans. I am going to put this on YouTube. I think that I owe you guys that. I'm planning on putting this on YouTube. And can you wait for your food, please, cat? Of course. So, and I didn't go live on Friday either. I was just drained. I've just been drained. I think I need to like, every 4th week, I think I need to take off. And then that way I keep, because I got a business and all this other stuff. I know, it has been forever, Blanca. I also, for those of you who always ask me what I'm drinking, I think I showed you guys, I drink this wine. It's this, and this is from Rombauer Vineyards. It's called Joy, and it's a dessert wine. So I had whatever that like issue with your taste buds and all that stuff was, but it was connected to my Crohn's, not with COVID. Hey, Karachi. And I poured, so because of that, wine tastes different, but I refuse to give it up. So I just need to make it sweeter. So that dessert wine makes it sweeter, which is great until the winery couldn't produce it for the last couple of years. So I've like called them weekly and like, hey, when are you guys gonna come out with your new batch? Really need this wine. But I was able to make my own version, because basically this is syrup. You can't really tell, but it's not like, it looks liquidy, but it's, it doesn't have the same viscosity as like liquid. It's a little bit thicker. It's syrupy, super sweet. So I bought passion fruit syrup and white peach syrup off of Amazon and I put it in my Sauvignon Blanc. And no one can tell me that that's a bad idea. It tastes incredible. And if you don't like wine, I highly encourage you to do the same thing. So that's what's in here. It's Sauvignon Blanc, white peach syrup, and passion fruit syrup. It's amazing. I used to talk shit when I was younger and way more insecure, thinking that I was this really cool person. Like people who drink Beringer White Sand, like why would you do that when there's so many amazing wines that you could have? Yeah, I'm that person now. Need a Sauvignon Blanc after this week. Start classes tomorrow. It's like ice wine, Garachi. It's like that, except sweeter. This is basically soda in a wine glass. Yeah, you can. So I'm gonna try to do it with blackberry syrup and red wine. We ended up, you guys, we donated. I've shown you guys before. That wine fridge is full. We have 2 very large wine racks on the other side of that wall that are full. And wine doesn't taste the same to me anymore. So Tim did his big tournament this year on Monday, and we were able to donate 2 boxes of wine, and it got $1,200 at the live auction, which is awesome. Went to a really good cause. Okay, so let's pull up the document so that we can go over it. Sound like a plan? Any questions before did we talk about Rachel Hollis? No, we didn't. We're gonna do Britney. We're gonna do Britney first, and then we'll do Rachel after. We can talk about her if we want to, if y'all want to. Okay, so I'm going to go paragraph by paragraph. Jaime is going down. Yeah, such an interesting situation. So to recap for those who are wanting a recap. Obviously, we know Britney Spears is in a conservatorship established in 2008 by her father. Her father has over time been both the conservator of the person and of the estate. About 2 years ago, he stepped down as conservator of the person and only served as conservator of the estate. He did have a co-conservator for a period of time, and then that person stepped down, so he's been sole conservator of the estate, which handles her money. Person, body, estate, money, assets. So he is the sole conservator of the estate. Jody Montgomery being the conservator of the person, temporary still, because the hearing to appoint her as permanent conservator of the person has been contested and set off multiple times. That's currently set to be heard, along with all the other motions on September 29th. So what we have now before us, fast forward to July 14th, Sam Ingham, which was Britney's attorney, court-appointed attorney for this entire process from day one to July 14th, resigned. And multiple people, including Britney's mom, conservator of the person, the ACLU, and actually Sam Ingham himself petitioned for her to get a new attorney. His wasn't really that, but he wanted her to get a court-appointed attorney, but she ended up getting authority from the court to hire Matthew Rosengart to represent her interests in the conservatorship. Matthew Rosengart has now brought forth a petition to remove Jaime Spears. The question that a lot of people have is, why has Matthew Rosengart not yet brought a petition to end the conservatorship? What's the holdup on petitioning to end the conservatorship? And it's my position that first you cut the snake off by the head, then we'll get to the other parts, right? First, let's remove Jaime and let's place in Jaime's position somebody who has a view of the conservatorship from Jaime's seat, access to all of those records, access to all of that information. Let's figure out where Britney's money is. Let's figure out how this was formed. Let's figure out if this was formed well, right, if this needed to be formed at all. A lot of people have, hi Sandy, a lot of people have beliefs that this wasn't formed properly or wasn't necessary. So where we find ourselves now is Matthew Rosengart filed that petition to remove Jaime Spears, and then and along with that petition there was some evidence. My daughter handed out money today because she found rolls of quarters in her room, and I'm getting texts from parents because apparently my daughter just had a giveaway at school with cash, actual cash. Anyway, I'll deal with that after this. If you would like to be entered into Sophia's giveaway for a roll of $10 in quarters, let me know. Let me know. So where we are is that petition was filed and Jaime Spears responded. The petition included a declaration from Lynn, Britney's mom, advising that she thinks that Jaime needs to step down, along with Jody Montgomery, who is the conservator, again, temporary conservator of the person, who also said that the medical team advises that it's best in Britney's best interest for Jaime to be removed. Matthew Rosengart filed his petition, verified, to his declaration and his petition to remove Jaime. Jaime responds and attacks Lynn, and basically, like Matthew Rosengart will find says in this response, wants like Father of the Year. He wants like, I have done nothing but the best for Britney. I do still need to break that down. I think I did a couple videos on it, but we didn't do it on live. I've been an amazing conservator of her estate. I've done everything in her best interest. She went from like no money to a ton of money. It's been amazing. What a ride. I'm a great dad. Don't believe the media, yada, yada, yada. I don't think he actually said the gold star comment. I don't think. Is someone wanting something? Yeah, you're right. That vent does need to be vacuumed. I am on it. Thank you for telling me. It's fire season in California. Just an FYI. There's massive fires. We're doing the best we can. If it bothers you though, I suggest like covering that part of your screen because I'm not going to do it right now. Okay, so this is Rosengart's response, his supplemental petition, which is really just his response to Jaime Spears. Introduction, Britney established in her July 26th verified petition, i.e. Britney signed it, for suspension and removal of Jaime, that his suspension and removal were mandated by Probate Code 2650. As a matter of law, this relief is in the best interest of Britney. Separately, spiders crawling on me. Separately, this relief is also in the interest of justice. So just as a quick review, Probate Code 2650 sub J that he's referencing here sets a standard that we just need to do what's in the best interest of the conservatee. That's it. That's all we have to do. It's a real low bar. We just have to establish that his serving as conservator is not in her best interest. It is not in her best interest. And as long as we meet that really low threshold, he has to be removed or suspended. That's it. That's all we have to tell the court. That's all we have to show the court. As long as we show evidence that this is not in her best interest, the court needs to remove Jaime Spears. That's what Rosengart's saying. What Jaime is saying is, there's no grounds for me to be removed, but I'll step aside once I get all this handled, the transition handled. Specifically, he actually references in his response, in Jaime's response, yes, the dog climbs on a table, thinks it's a cat. The 12th accounting. The 12th accounting is that specific accounting that gives Jaime's attorneys that $1.3 million, just one firm, $1.3 million for like a 7-month period. It's bananas the amount of money that's coming out of the 12th accounting. It really feels like a final attempt at sticking Britney with any and all fees. Like it almost feels like there's this knowing within the conservatorship that all of this is going to come to a grinding halt. Like something's got to give, throw everything into the 12th accounting. It's not in Britney's best interest. Can't the judge just give him his walking papers? Remember, we have to establish all of this because we don't want this to be appealed. We do not want everybody to get to that point where Britney's got a new attorney, they're filing the right documents, they're requesting the right things, but the judge doesn't look at any of that, just makes Jaime leave, and then Jaime then is able to appeal that, somehow get a judgment against Britney and get fees paid to him or some kind of settlement to him. We don't want that. We want to make sure that all of this is handled correctly so that it stands up on appeal. Carissa, that's a possibility. If she can't work with him, then it's not a beneficial situation. Correct. Okay. Paragraph 2. As the petition also demonstrates, it's been a long day, so there are things that, trust me, this is all I just started sipping this when I got on. Have they got a new person to take over? Jason Rubin was proffered by Rosengart, but it's my understanding that he has since said no to that position, so we'll see. As the petition also demonstrates, this section does not require Mr. Spears admit fault or wrongdoing. This is a big deal because Rosengart's saying, again, real low bar that we have to meet. We don't need you to say you fucked up. We just need you to step aside. That's all. I know she's, again, thinks she's a cat. Rather, although Mr. Spears has for more than a decade evidently engaged in abusive and bullying conduct while also elevating his own personal and financial interests above those of his daughter, these issues of misconduct are not, at this time, he actually has it in italics. So these issues of misconduct are not, italicized, at this, italicized, time on this, italicized, petition before the court. I.e., we're not going to do it right now. See you in a couple of months. But not right now. Not right now. The only question before the court, which has unfortunately been lost for years, is whether Mr. Spears' prompt suspension and removal are in the best interests of Britney. Based upon the forceful and compelling June 23rd and July 14th testimony of Britney herself, the sworn declaration of conservator of the person, Jody Montgomery, which includes her testimony, quote, I have had numerous ongoing conversations with the medical team, and we all agree that it would be best for Miss Spears' well-being and mental health that her father stop acting as conservator, and that it is my strong opinion and recommendation that the persons serving as Miss Spears' conservators are not be family members, and that Mr. Spears' removal is critical to Britney Spears' emotional health and well-being and in the interests of the conservatee. And 3, verified joinder of Miss Montgomery, the declaration of and verified joinder of interested party Lynn Spears, and the fact that Miss Spears will not work or perform unless and until Mr. Spears is removed, thereby depriving the estate of income, even as Mr. Spears and others are perversely being enriched from it. The unequivocal answer is yes. So what this is saying is, look at all of what we've presented to the court. Britney's own testimony, the testimony of the temporary conservator of the person, the declaration of the declaration of Jody, the declaration of Lynn Spears, and just the simple fact that Britney's not moving forward and working for her own estate until her father is removed, thereby depriving herself of income to her own estate that benefits her. So it's in her absolute 100%, it's best interest to remove her father so she can continue performing. Granted, it's a self-imposed restriction, but her father was not treating her in a way that she felt that she could continue to perform, theoretically. What time frame does the 12th accounting cover? I believe it is from June or July 1, 2019. No. 2020. Must be July 2020 to June 2021. Is that right? No, that can't be right. I don't know. I'll look. It's not, I don't know yet. I know the answer, but I don't have it in front of me. I need to look. You're saying year 2020. That doesn't make sense though, because the attorney's fees fall back into 2021. But the 13th accounting hasn't been filed. It's bizarre. I'll look. This conclusion, which we respectfully submit, is now clearly inexorable. It's so late. Is further supported by fundamental principles of law that were completely ignored by Mr. Spears and his attorney in their first response. So the conclusion being that he needs to be removed, and saying that Mr. Spears and his attorneys just didn't follow the law. Seems like translation back down, or I'm bringing out the big guns. Yeah. Isla, do you need something? Just want to sit on my shoulder like a bird. Okay, do you think her topless IG post would be used against her to prove she's not okay? I think people are trying to do that. In fact, I think there are some documents that have been swirling around that are purportedly out of the court's file where Jaime Spears specifically cites to Britney's social media to show the court that she is not well. And if that's true, that's astounding to me. If it's also true that she doesn't have access and people are posting naked photos of her, I have a real big issue with that. I know. It's late, it's 5:51. It's just an excuse because I'm going to slur my words because I'm exhausted. Does Jaime have to file a response? If he opposes the request being made by Rosengart, then it's a good idea for him to get something on file. Even if she posted pictures, if she is of age, but if someone else is posting, that's messed up. Yeah, even if she posted pictures, like, what's the problem? Agreed. It's one of those things where it's one thing that they could use against her in a mountain of evidence that they would try to provide to the court. That on its own, no, wouldn't suffice. But if they used that and, I don't know, some kind of statement like something that she said, like, I'll never post pictures of myself on Instagram. I don't know. If it goes to her mental capabilities, like if she says things directly opposite to that, or I don't know, there could be some way if she had exclusive control over her social media and it showed something. I don't think that it shows anything though. They're saying she doesn't have capacity, so how does she have capacity to post those pictures? Yeah, the mind games that they have to play. Yes, what does the 12th accounting mean? So the accounting is, it is a method of court supervision of these kinds of cases in order to ensure that conservators are playing by the rules, right? You didn't duck out and lose $2 million in the last year, right? Where does the 12th come from? Oh, it's the 12th year. It's the 12th year. So it would cover year 12 of the conservatorship. Don't they have to remove Jaime because her doctors have said it's in her best interest? Really good question. The problem with that is that I have not seen any document or any pleading or any declaration or any testimony from an actual doctor. Everything that we've heard from the medical team has come from Jody Montgomery or Rosengart or Britney, I think. But we haven't actually heard testimony from the medical team. So if Rosengart wants to use that, he needs to produce some kind of evidence from the medical team. Now, probate court is they may not play by all the evidentiary rules as closely as other courts do, but it is hearsay if it's not produced in the right way. Exactly. So the doctor words are hearsay so far. We don't even have a name. Do you think this will all start at the beginning of the end? Yeah, I think it already has. What about Jody agreeing to remove him? She doesn't have the capacity to do that. The courts also get money from someone having a conservatorship. I mean, there's filing fees, but judges absent misconduct do not directly profit from filings or anything like that. It's not like I've heard some people say police officers have a quota and that's why they, pull more people over on the end of the month or something like that. It's not like that for judges. At least not where I'm located. Can Jaime be removed before September 29th? I do not think that is a likelihood. I think this is Britney's best legal path, honestly. Can a judge subpoena a medical finding from a professional other than her medical team? The judge subpoena wouldn't be the right term, I don't think, but she could theoretically order, I guess, a medical professional to evaluate Britney. Sorry if I missed this, but were you able to read all the original filings? I have not been able to do that yet. Have they started the investigation into where her money has gone? No. I know she is waiting for dinner. She's at the dinner table. She's in her spot. She'd like dinner now. I think Jaime is out. I think after Jaime is out, it's over and the rest is formality. Maybe, but once they get Jaime out, the court's going to Rosengart's going to make sure that the court reserves jurisdiction to prosecute any and all claims that Britney has against anybody who has acted in her best interest that have not actually acted in her best interest. Okay, moving on. He cites a bunch of like law reviews and things like that for his position. In short, as this court so aptly stated during the July 14th hearing, it's not about anybody else except for Britney. Mr. Spears should heed those words, he says. What about any, she doesn't want a medical evaluation. She says she's undergone too many. The judge could ask for medical records. You had to hand all yours over when you were a guardian to the court and the court reviewed them. I think they have conducted, they said more than yearly medical evaluations. It does look like Rosengart could move it to federal court. We'll see. I don't know about Jason Rubin. We'll have to get some, I'm waiting for Rosengart to make a filing on that. But Rosengart's smart. He plays these things very close to his chest. You'll see TMZ will break Jaime Spears' legal documents because, in my opinion, Jaime Spears, I think, sends them to TMZ before he sends them to the court. Rosengart doesn't play that game. He files shit when he wants it to be filed, when he wants it to be public. And you have to think, too, it's a very strategic game because you're making a public filing. You're telling the court why they should act in the way that you're requesting them to act. But you're also showing your cards to some extent. So, say for instance, Rosengart has the medical team in a declaration on his desk saying, Jaime needs to be removed. Here are 5 specific instances of misconduct that I've personally witnessed. If he is not removed, this could cause Ms. Spears immense suffering unnecessarily. Rosengart could have that on his desk, ready to go, and maybe wait until a week and a half before the hearing, and say, I'm going to serve this a little late, just a little supplemental declaration. You know, why would you want to hand that over a month before the hearing when you could hand it over with giving Jaime Spears and his legal team a little bit less time to respond? Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Thank you very much, Andrea. I don't know what the benefit of moving this to federal court would be, other than you're getting it out of the court that maybe Britney doesn't feel safest in. Can TMZ get in trouble for that? I don't think so. I don't know that they would be doing anything wrong by just getting legal documents and publishing them before they're filed. No, we don't know how Rosengart and Britney found each other. Yeah, Blanca says, I've been saying it all along. Rosengart's playing chess while the rest are playing checkers. I will say, Jaime Spears doesn't have the facts on his side, so he has to make, and if you're, look for this in your life. If somebody doesn't have a good argument, they will play mental gymnastics and it's over there, and wait, but I told you that, but that one thing, remember the thing around the thing over there? Like, that's how Jaime Spears' entire first response was bashing Lynn Spears, and then in the process admitting that he paid over $2 million from Britney's estate for the benefit of Lynn. So the entire, mental gymnastics, where the facts aren't on your side, you have to do something else. So, against this backdrop, Mr. Spears and his counsel's August 12th first response is shameful, although Mr. Spears concedes that a battle with his daughter over his continuing service would not be in her best interest, thereby effectively acknowledging that his departure must be imminent. Mr. Spears spends the overwhelming majority of his brief engaging in inappropriate attacks and finger pointing. Bella, would you like outside? Let me try that. And for the person on YouTube that's watching this later, I can't do anything about this. I'm the only one home. Come on, go outside. Go get him. Come on, Bella. Go get him. Go get him. I know. We can't let the little dog outside because we have a pool being built and there's currently a very large hole, and the people who are going in and out of the backyard aren't closing the gate all the way. So anyway, I can't do a brief recap because I don't think it's brief enough. It's not, I wouldn't be able to do that, but feel free to turn this off and check out my YouTube and I'll upload this later. I hope he's scared and worried just like he has done to her and our kids her entire life. Yeah. In trying to defend himself, he also looks back 13 years, improperly discussing his daughter's mental health issues, which I agree. There's no reason, if you're saying, I've got to protect her, I'm protecting her. Also, she's crazy. She's like really crazy. Like, she's crazy. I'm protecting her though. Like, I'm the only person who's always been on her side, but she's wacko. She's really crazy. But like, it's my job to protect her. I protect her. Gold star dad. I protect her. While outrageously suggesting he should be thanked. The thrust of his response is that although he expressly recognizes that a public battle regarding his departure would not be in Miss Spears' best interest, and for that reason, he even intends to support an orderly transition. His idea of orderly is to hang on until someone first brands him Father of the Year and awards him a gold star for his service. In other words, although Jaime, I'm going to use their first names because Mr. and Miss, it's easier. In other words, although Jaime has at last been forced to recognize that it is best for his daughter if he departs now, he claims the right to drag his feet because it's best for him to cling to this conservatorship until he feels sufficiently vindicated. Would TMZ be paying Jaime for what he gives them? I have heard it's actually the other way around. There were allegations that he was paying TMZ. I don't know. I'd have to look into what that would look like. Yeah, YouTube is the same. It's in my bio. If you click, I think it looks like the Instagram thing. If you click on that, it'll take you to it'll have a little thing for YouTube. No, most people under conservatorship mentally capable to work? That part baffles me. I don't know the statistics, but I do not believe, in my opinion, that that's what conservatorships are for. That's not what I wouldn't use a conservatorship to do something like that. Yeah, he wants a thank you. Yeah. Mr. Spears and his counsel's first response is also based on a complete misunderstanding of the law because his prior service as conservator is legally irrelevant under the 2650 sub J's best interest test. So what Rosengart's saying here is, you could have been a fucking fabulous conservator for the last 12 and a half years. But today, right here, right now, and moving forward, you're not the best thing for the conservatee, and therefore you need to leave. That's the test that we're looking at, is this section 2650 sub J. Is your service here in this position in the best interest of conservatee? If the answer is no, then you need to leave. We do not need to litigate the last 12 and a half years in front of this court at this very moment, because you can't justify it being in her best interest right now by showing the last 12 and a half years. Is he paying for his counsel with Brit's money? Yes. He doesn't need a thank you. He needs to be in prison. He doesn't deserve a gold star either. I have not listened to the Toxic podcast. There's a couple podcasts covering this. I'll check. Moreover, by once again elevating his interest over his daughters, it also demonstrates why Mr. Spears must resign or be suspended. Additionally, this response that Mr. Spears submitted supports Britney's position that any legal fees incurred by Jaime in connection with that response should not come from Britney's estate, because there's nothing that is being done for Britney's interests by filing that response. Rosengart teed that up in his petition itself. If you're going to oppose this, it's clearly in your own interest. Therefore, you cannot use Britney's money to oppose this motion. Dad says, oh, no. I'm not opposing it. I'm going to step down, but I need to get some things handled first. I've done an amazing job. Let me get this stuff handled, and then I'll walk away. But I'm not opposing. But you're using her money to perpetuate what Jaime Spears really wants, and what he's trying to tee up is an evidentiary hearing on Britney Spears' accusations, in which Jaime can come in potentially in public open court and slam Britney and all of her allegations that she's made over the last couple of court hearings, or over those 2 court hearings that we know that she's spoken, which obviously does not serve her best interests. He cites a case, conservatorship of Lefkowitz. Conservators' attorneys' fees to oppose petition for removal incurred to defend conservators' character and reputation were not payable from the conservatee's estate. Further, and critically, while Mr. Spears professes his purported love and support of his daughter, even as he stripped her of her autonomy and dignity and engaged in abusive conduct towards her, his first response reveals his true motivations: to receive or make large monetary payments under the pending 12th account as a quid pro quo. That's quite a allegation. And then he lists payment to Mr. Spears from Britney for working with his lawyer to address public media and social media attention, such as reading major television news articles, yada yada. Payment to Jaime from Britney for continuing to do my best to keep current regarding the music, advertising, and entertainment business. Compensation from Britney of $1.3 million in attorney's fees from October of 20 to June 21, including exorbitant and obviously unacceptable $541,000 for media matters, and payment to TriStar Sports Entertainment Group for an exorbitant post-hiatus $500,000. Yeah, I will upload this to YouTube for sure. Yeah, there's not going to be a new judge in this unless there's a rotation in LA court or it gets removed to federal court. And just as a matter of practice, I don't speak on judges. I don't speak on courts insofar as like allegations and things like that. And I don't speak on the California Bar Association, which doesn't matter so much in this case, but it matters in the Eric Girardi matter. Can she get her money back? Where's the money? Mandy's still upset he wants a thank you. Yeah, Cindy, yeah, that could happen. Unlikely, but that could happen. Further, although Mr. Spears' Jaime's counsel purport to chastise Britney's current counsel for supposedly failing to recognize that they and Britney's prior counsel were in negotiations They neglect to mention that those negotiations were unacceptable and unsuccessful. I want to touch on this briefly. What I think Jaime wants, his time's coming up. His time's coming up. There's an end of the road. Even if it's not on the 29th, it's at some point. If I was an attorney for somebody in Jaime Spears' position, I would want, so that I'm a little bit higher, I would want for Jaime or somebody in his situation, a release, a waiver of any and all claims, basically like a release saying, you're never going to sue me. You agree that I was an amazing person, or a confidentiality clause. If we can't agree to that, you're not going to come after me, and I'll leave quietly into the night. That's what I wonder if they were in negotiations talking about. Like, Jaime will get out, Bessemer will come in, but Jamie's going to want, I wonder if Jaime was wanting a payment, like a one-time, you got 60, give me 2. Or $500,000. Or, let me, Jaime, add up all of the property that I have and what I need, and you can buy me out of this conservator position. It would not surprise me if that was a negotiation that was being had. I don't know that that's what was happening, but I absolutely think that what he wants is a waiver and some kind of payout, to leave the position. Because this is a position he's been getting paid for. Like, think of it like a severance pay. Immunity and money, yes. Bella? Come on. What are you eating? My apologies. My apologies. Okay. Regardless of the past, Mr. Spears and his counsel are now on notice. The status quo is no longer tolerable, and Britney will not be extorted. Told you. Mr. Spears' blatant attempt to barter suspension and removal in exchange for approximately $2 million in payments on top of the millions already reaped from Ms. Spears' estate by Mr. Spears and his associates is a non-starter. I.e., you're already asking for $2 million out of the 12th accounting. What makes you think we're going to give you some kind of additional sum, or what part of this feels like a negotiation to you? Yeah, Sam Ingham did not do her any favors in these final years, or I don't think in any of them, but I don't know, that's tough call. It's actually not, in my opinion, but that's neither here nor there. Finally, contrary to the powers that Mr. Spears and his counsel seek to arrogate unto themselves, they do not get to choose the time and place of Mr. Spears' departure. Those issues are governed by the law, the best interests of Miss Spears, and by this court. So what Jamie's trying to say is, got it. I'll resign. Just give me, I don't know, we'll figure out this 12th accounting thing, and then I'll step down. No worries. No need to bring a petition. Stop overreacting. But what Rosengart's saying is, no. We're setting this for the 29th, and we actually asked for it to be heard earlier. We're going to want you gone then. We don't need a transition period. If you got shit that fucked up that you need to take that much time to transition this over, that's on you. That's not on us. Please don't sue me. Yeah. Just for everybody who's watching this and wants me to recap, I'm not going to recap, but you can watch this on YouTube later And the YouTube you can access in my bio. I think you click the little Instagram icon and the YouTube, it'll say YouTube when you click on that, and you can go to there, and I will upload this after I'm done. Let's see. In short, Mr. Spears' so-called first response is best. Nope, I skipped a part. And contrary to the first response claim that there are supposedly no urgent circumstances warranting Mr. Spears' immediate suspension, that too is false. The world heard Britney's courageous and compelling testimony. Britney's life matters. Her well-being matters. Every day matters. There's no basis to wait. In short, Mr. Spears' so-called first response is best characterized as a concession that he must resign, coupled with the independently removable offense of failing to resign until the time and conditions are right for him, no matter the toll it takes on his daughter. Having finally acknowledged that his time as conservator should end, Mr. Spears is obligated to step down without condition and without seeking to extract anything further from his daughter. Indeed, Mr. Spears should resign now, and if he does not, this court must suspend him on September 29th. It's interesting because if this was like 2 years into the conservatorship and not much money had moved, Rosengart's position and bartering would look a lot different, in my opinion. Because as a lawyer, I read that and I go, okay, so what do we do to get the client her result as quickly as possible? I assume Rosengart could probably negotiate with Jaime and say, we'll pay you $5 million. You know where the assets are. We'll get you, $5 million in, some kind of wire transfer, a release of claims. We won't pursue anything further. Step down as conservator. And he'd probably do it because it would be profitable for him. And then Britney gets what she wants and her dad gets what he wants. Britney gets what she wants in that he steps down as conservator. Her dad gets some kind of payout that's sufficient for him. And both parties walk away. But we cannot know what has happened in the last 13 years that she would be walking away from claims regarding. We just don't know that. No, we don't, Cindy. That's exactly what I'm saying. We don't know what she would be releasing him from. That's the problem. Is Rosengart, it would be very hard. I won't speak to him specifically, but for me, it would be very hard for me, knowing what I know in this situation, to say, I can advise you that this is a possibility that you can consider, because we don't know what we don't know. And that's why it's so important to get somebody else into that spot before the court loses jurisdiction over this case. Why does he need to get a payout? Why would he get a payout? So looking at this as how do we get Jaime out as fast as possible, references continually to negotiations by both parties, leads me to believe that Jaime probably wanted something to step down. Seems like she is way too hurt to let it slide. Yeah. Often in the legal practice, you'll encounter people who want to pursue it for the principle. I just want to do it for the principle of the matter. I just want to pursue this on principle. And there's a lot of times where you have to reckon with them and say, how much are you willing to spend on principle? Because you could push this all the way to the end and pay me a lot of money on principle and not get anything from the other person at the end of the day. So how strong is your principles? How strong is the money that you're willing to pay me too? Because not for me, but for you. Like, are you going to be working a second and third job so you can pay me to pursue something on principle, right? So this situation obviously is far removed from that type of a situation, right? There's money here to pay Matthew Rosengart. It's in Britney's best interest to get Jaime out. I'm just saying, like, principle only takes you so far. He's already getting $16K a month. That's payment for nothing. You still want more? Thief. Yeah. He is getting paid to be conservator. But I know what you mean. Interesting. Okay. In short, Mr. Spears' so-called first responses, okay. First, and perhaps most notably for purposes of this pending petition, Jaime's response concedes that much has changed since the conservatorship was implemented in 2008, and that he will cooperate in the transition to a new conservator. He should have stopped there. Instead, he seeks to extract an improper quid pro quo of preconditions to his exit, which have absolutely nothing to do with Miss Spears' needs or best interests. In other words, although Mr. Spears concedes that stepping down is the right thing to do, he is, again, trying to put his interests and those of others ahead of the interests of his own daughter. Most of this is just repeating what he said over and over again in different words with regard to different legal issues. I don't know why his attorneys would file that response. CLB 813 asks, what would happen if this was a broke person we were talking about? Well, if it was a broke person, we wouldn't be talking about it because there wouldn't be money to extract as conservator. He was never her daddy. He was always abused them, in my opinion, Mandy says. Is she, her attorney, able to get rid of him without giving him immunity or a payout? Yeah, that's what this is. They've backed him into a corner. What I think the negotiations were before Rosengart, and he's Jaime specifically says that in his response, is that prior attorney Sam Ingham, it looks like, and Jaime's attorneys were in negotiations. Second, Mr. Spears' response is a shameful attempt to redeem his reputation at his daughter's expense. The issue, however, is not about Mr. Spears, his needs, or his image. This would be true in any case, but is particularly true in the context of the pending petition, which is based solely and exclusively on Section 2650 sub J, the probate code's discretionary catch-all provision warranting suspension or removal where that relief is in the best interest of the conservatee. There's a footnote. Although subject to our ongoing investigation, the other factors under Section 2650, e.g., gross immorality and failure to use ordinary care, are not presently before the court, and they have no impact on the September 29th hearing date, at which time Mr. Spears must, at the very least, be suspended. So, hey, this 2650 catch-all provision, just best interest, lowest bar possible. Now, there's these other things like, I don't know, gross immorality and, what's another one? Failure to use ordinary care. Yeah, I think that's the other one. We're not asking about those. No. No, all we're asking for is best interest of the conservatee. Not those what was it? Gross immorality. Yeah, I think that's in the provision. But no, don't worry, court. We don't need to talk about that yet. It's very interesting how he lays this all out. Nope, not them. Specifically, while Mr. Spears claims to understand that a public battle with his daughter over his continuing service as her conservator would not be in her best interests, his actions speak far louder. Far from extending an olive branch, Mr. Spears' first response is riddled with allegations that are false, stale, have no bearing on current circumstances, and serve no purpose other than hoping to rehabilitate his image while harming Miss Spears. Jaime has been, sorry, my grandma called. She'll probably call back because that's what people in my family do. Jaime has become so blinded by his own legally irrelevant desire for redemption that, notwithstanding the stringent restrictions of HIPAA, he has gone so far in his filings as to discuss the alleged details of Miss Spears' mental state. Under the guise of countering Lynn Spears' declaration, for example, Jaime levies allegations of Britney's issues, makes gratuitous comments on the amounts spent on Britney's medical care, questions whether Britney understands or remembers what has been done to her, and makes other inept claims while also attacking conservator of the person Jody Montgomery. Not only are Jaime's self-serving contentions irrelevant to this petition, they are a quintessential indicator of an unhealthy conservator-conservatee relationship, which can no longer be sustained. Indeed, any words in Jaime's first response other than, "I recognize it is in Miss Spears' best interest that I resign and I hereby do so," are unnecessary, damaging, and a further indicator of his unfitness to serve. AKA, we asked, is this in her best interest? And you should have said yes or no. This is a check yes or no box. This isn't the I'm sorry, but. Yeah, I'll get to this and. No. It's a yes or it's a no. In her best interest or not in her best interest. Not I'm an amazing person and I've done a really, really good job. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. If Mr. Spears truly feels he is the target of unjustified attacks, he can bring them to an end by doing the gracious, right, and necessary thing by resigning without attempting to extort conditions on his departure. Relatedly, there is no reason that his requested transition cannot occur after Mr. Spears' resignation or suspension, I think is what he means, but he says resignation of suspension. Third, Mr. Spears' response is also illustrative of why, consistent with his departure, the time has come to chart a course for Miss Spears' freedom. Jaime's observations about his daughter and his purported defense actually demonstrate that Miss Spears is perfectly capable of giving an accurate opinion as to whether Jaime should remain in his post. For example, Jaime notes that Miss Spears has maintained her career while recording and performing worldwide, understands her personal obligations, has not been coerced to do anything, is strong, and stands up for herself. These truths are not reason to laud Mr. Spears. They are reason to honor Britney's request to be released from under the thumb of her father. Not even Mr. Spears denies that this conservatorship is, in fact, exhausting and terrifying to Britney. He accepts this as fact and dismisses her experiences as the reality of being under a conservatorship, which is true. True that he said that. But exhaustion and terror are not the goals of a conservatorship, a state-imposed mechanism that should be a last resort. The fact that Mr. Spears views his daughter's own experience as a necessary evil of a conservatorship shows exactly how far off the rails this conservatorship has gone insofar as he is concerned. Like, yeah, no, it's really fucking tiring. Well, that's a conservatorship for you. Is it? Damn, she's had to work a lot. Well, that's a conservatorship for you. Oh, my landing strip's back. You reading this is giving me life and reacting is, yeah. I like to do dramatic reenactments. I think I had a calling maybe at some point to read children's books. I do bedtime stories. That's exactly what these are. It seems clear he should be removed. Could the judge keep him after all this? Sometimes judges like to split the baby. That's what we call it, which is a horrendous term. And kind of wobble down the middle. We'll see what happens. But if we're looking at that 2650 sub J section, and Jaime has not given any reason why we shouldn't look at that section, Rosengart says, here's the test. Jaime did not say, no, that's not the right test. Jaime said, I meet those standards, but I'm going to resign, right? So if this is the test, then I think he's going to be released. It's whether or not the judge allows this transition time. I've missed a few days. I'll do a little personal recap at the end. We've only got, one paragraph left. Finally, last paragraph. No, it's not. There's more pages. Sorry. Finally, it is again worth mentioning that Mr. Spears spends 7 pages of his response airing grievances with Lynn Spears in a needless but mean-spirited sideshow. Lynn does indeed support Jamie's suspension and removal, but the petition must be granted regardless of her views. Like, she's such a throwaway. As the petition made abundantly clear, it is Jamie's independent adverse impact on his daughter's life, well-being, and best interests that require the petition be granted. That Jaime would use this solemn occasion to pick one more fight with his ex-wife, the mother of his daughter, speaks volumes. Like, I could just imagine their family law case and the attorneys involved were just like, fuck, get this over with. Like, worst. This is not, the same judge has not been over this case for 13 years. Somebody else was over it earlier. Man. Lest there be any confusion about the certain matters Mr. Spears wishes to resolve before his departure, his response indicates that his voluntary resignation will be contingent upon, at the least, approval of the latest accounting and a substantial payment from Britney's estate to certain third parties, including TriStar Sports and Entertainment Group. One can certainly theorize why Mr. Spears wants to ensure payment to certain third parties, while he perceives he still has leverage to extract concessions. But the reasons for his audacious desire to divert conservatorship's assets to himself and others are, at this time, besides the point. When it comes to the petition, all that matters is a single essential fact that is undisputed, even by Jaime. The resignation, or immediate suspension if he fails to resign, is in Miss Spears' best interests. Given the above, Jaime has no right to condition his departure on improper and extortionate demands for payment or blanket immunity. Instead, the only honorable, decent, and humane course of action is for Mr. Spears to resign now, provide all necessary information to evaluate his accounting, and if matters cannot be resolved consensually, try to defend his accounting. Once again, however, and importantly, that defense is for a later day and a different proceeding. And Mr. Spears' effort to confuse and conflate these issues and extract a quid pro quo must be rejected. Does Jaime understand big words? Conclusion. If there were any doubts as to whether Jaime must be summarily suspended and then removed, and there should have been no such doubts, Jaime's faithless and misguided first response puts them to rest. It is now self-evident that Jaime is so myopically focused on his own interest that even as he is, in effect, uttering the words, "You can't fire me, I resign," he cannot help but contemplate and promote the next best steps for himself. Miss Spears has already provided the court with many examples of Jaime's bullying and efforts to strip her of certain fundamental rights, as well as the harm of his service had on her well-being. For these reasons, as those set forth herein in the pending petition, Britney renews her request for the relief contained in the petition, including immediate suspension. A transition can just as easily occur while Jaime is suspended as opposed to while he lingers as conservator waiting for his inevitable removal. The only difference is the former is in his daughter's best interest, while the latter severely undermines those interests. I.e., you could hang on and fuck over your daughter, or you could just get faux and serve your daughter's best interests. For now, before Mr. Spears engages in further attacks on his daughter, once again discusses his purported views of her mental state or files another response, because we know that was the first one, that would only serve to demonstrate his lack of sensitivity and fidelity, while also bolstering the petition and providing further evidence that he, not the estate, will be liable for his attorney's fees. Although his departure is a foregone conclusion, Mr. Spears should simply agree to resign immediately. Under the circumstances, that would be the legally correct, decent, and graceful thing to do. The end. Of note in that last sentence, Rosengart does repeatedly appeal to this Southern spirit of do the decent thing. Just like step down. We all just want you to do the right thing. Just the right thing. Just do the right thing for your integrity. And it's like, Jesus, like I don't know who this is for, because the law is not moral. You know, the law is not fair. And I don't think that that's for Jaime. Maybe it's for the court, for the public. I don't know. Yes. Is it true a different attorney is pushing for the public audio to start back before this hearing? Yes. So there was a filing by USA Today. Who was it? I don't remember what publication, but there's an attorney who made a First Amendment filing requesting that the remote audio access program be reinstated before this hearing because of a number of things. But yeah, they're trying to get that back. Attorneys love to be dramatic. Yeah, we do. Here's the thing, is so often attorneys are put in a position to defend, like, your guy's wrong, my guy's wrong. Like, we have to use the law and facts creatively to get our point across. When you've got the law and the facts on your side, it's like you're a fucking giant. Like, we're just stomping around and everybody's ants. It's like, and I would just do the right thing if I were you, and you really fucked over your daughter, and clearly you don't even know the fucking law. Like, why would you know what I mean? It's just like your ego is so inflated. Like, I will say, this is straddling that line of like, we want to remember who we're writing this to, the court. The passive aggressiveness is really coming off here. Maybe this is where I would like, all right, this is as far as we can go. This is as far as we can go. No, I know you don't mean to be mean. Do they have to have a replacement before the judge would suspend Jaime? We do need to know who that's going to be. Can't be a vacant position. Anyone else wish they were a fly on the wall when Jaime's lawyers read that? He needed to end it with, bless your heart. Yeah, just bless your heart. He knows everyone will be hearing it. It's for the effect, yeah. What if the 12th accounting is not approved? Well, it hasn't been approved. You should have Storytelling Tuesday and just choose your favorite children's books. I'd come. I would argue it would be better if it wasn't children's books. It should be like legal filings. If September 29th doesn't go our way, we are doomed. I just can't envision a world in which I don't even want to say it. Could Jaime be made to undergo a psych eval? No, I don't think so. Oh, this question. Thank you for saying my house is nice. I appreciate that. What do we think about boyfriend Sam? My view has shifted. The 12th account, does he have to pay if the 12th accounting was never approved? My understanding is most of those payments were already made, and this is approval after the fact. Yeah. Okay. You guys want me to talk about Sam? So if any of you follow your best friend Joshua, he's been shedding some light on some things that Sam is like, how he could be involved with other people in Hollywood. I had a feeling from the beginning that, like, good for Britney if she was able to pull in this kid who's quite a bit younger than her in the state that she was in, and he's, chosen to have her back. That's great. Like, I got a husband who has my back through thick and thin and supports me, and regardless of my mental health status. And it has been low at times. It's just hard for me there's something that disconnects in my gut when it like the postings on social media, he comments on them. And that gives credence to the fact that she has direct access to her social media, but I don't think that she does. So I don't know. I don't trust him. Sorry. That's my personal feeling. Like, I feel like it is a very opportunistic position. Yeah, a lot of you are saying the same thing. They have been together for years. Yeah, I want to trust him, but I feel like at minimum he's with her because of who she is. Yeah, like it's hard to say that being Britney Spears' boyfriend, especially in the middle, like, so if we don't trust him, pose this question, right? Like, well, then why, if he's on Jaime's side, why would he support the Free Britney movement? Well, I think we can also remember that not trusting him doesn't necessarily mean that he's on Jaime's side. It could also mean that he's just an opportunistic person and knew that this would thrust him into the limelight. Now, has that benefited Britney in some respects? Maybe. Maybe he's provided a really good outlet. Maybe he has given her some things to do in her spare time. Some assets, if you will. But that doesn't mean that he is just like a great guy through and through. I think she really trusts him, and it's sad because he sees what she goes through. He doesn't defend her. Yeah. I appreciate you saying I have beautiful skin. This is a very heavy filter, very heavy. I do not have any makeup on except I did put concealer on because look at that guy. Expensive boy toy. Britney is the topic, and then I'm going to give you guys a quick like rundown on my personal life because I haven't been on in a week or so. And we had some dramatic shit happen. So I'll give you a rundown on my personal life, and then I'll hop off. And just in time for Tim and Sophia to come home from basketball. She seems so in love with Sam, and it's sad. I know what will happen, and she won't be happy. And I mean, this was what the conservatorship was protecting her from, right? Is this like somebody could come in and extort her, use her. But that's always her decision. Like, we all have to protect ourselves. And in my opinion, that's not good enough reason. The test for a conservatorship should not increase, or the need for conservatorship should not increase the more money you have. In my opinion. In my opinion, a conservatorship should be either necessary or not, regardless of the assets of the proposed conservatee. So in that case, I don't think a conservatorship should be granted based solely on the fact that the person has money that could be stolen, that could be leveraged. My personal feelings. If she wants an expensive boy toy, she should be able to have one. Yeah, a bunch of men have expensive women. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up because it is 6:46. And I'm going to take some time for myself, especially because this is the only time for myself that I'm going to get. And I have a feeling that Sophia's going to come home and she's going to want to talk. Unrelated, but I cried about the Greg news today. Yeah, Greg Leaks passed away today, which sucks. Heather for president, you're very sweet. Okay, so with regard to fires, I'll give you guys an update on that. We have a very large, I think it's approaching 200,000 acre fire. The Dixie fire is bigger, but it's more north of us. I gotta come on. Oh geez, that didn't make any better. The Caldor fire though is about an hour and a half from us, and our air quality was shit for a couple weeks, and then our air quality got better. Unfortunately, that air quality that pushed it out of the valley and into, I'm trying to fix the filter, into Tahoe, pushed the fire into Lake Tahoe. So if you've ever been to Lake Tahoe, it's a beautiful, beautiful place. It's basically a forest on an elevated lake, pure, clear. Makes me want to drink water because it's just so. Lake Tahoe, if you've never been there, to the extent it's still standing after the next couple of weeks, I highly encourage you to go. Cool communities. There's a lot of things that are threatened up there, but it looks like firefighters have gotten it under control. Hopefully not a lot changes and they're able to get it under control. The problem is because it's so mountainous, the winds shift really easily and there's really heavy gusts. And so what happened was it was 19% contained, and one night winds picked up, and because you're talking about, extremely old, extremely tall redwood trees, they're crowning and their fires are at the top. Winds are taking the top of them and throwing them far away, and starting other fires in very dry drought conditions. So that's that. Our air quality is okay. Tim, I feel like I have to run down the list. Tim went to the ER last week, and I came on live because I was really distraught, and that always brings me peace when I come. I think that was the last time I was on live. And I really didn't have any answers, so I didn't want to necessarily come on here and be like, yeah, we don't know. Our local hospital has a really shit policy. Dixie was 52% contained this morning. That's good. Our local hospital, so Tim had a really dry cough and reduced oxygen levels, though not low. Heaviness on his chest. He'd had a headache a week before consistently for a couple days. We had him tested at that point. He was negative. He called his doctor's office when the cough persisted and asked them what to do, and they said go to the ER. So he went to the ER and sat there, and they did a couple things and ended up sending him home. Did some EKG, checked his chest, and then sent him home. They did a COVID test, but they don't tell him the results. And so he came home and we waited, and he called and they said, oh, we'll let you know if you're positive, but if you're negative, we're not going to call you. You can imagine that policy doesn't work very well if you're negative, because how are you going to know? How are you going to know? So we got the letter saying that he's negative yesterday from his hospital visit last week. No one ever called. But we knew that we had a good idea that he was negative because no one called and because he had tested negative. So that's all good. Sophia and I got a stomach bug earlier this week. We're recovered from that. The pool is going swimmingly, excuse the pun. He's a lot better. He's got a slight cough still every once in a while, but he is way better. They dug the hole for the pool last week. They put plumbing in yesterday. They are doing rebar tomorrow, and it'll be ready for gunite, which is, I think, is the concrete that goes in the pool. That will happen whenever the gunite is available. It may be the air. It may be the air. Not calling for negative results is such bad practice. Shit gets missed that way, right? And what's interesting is they say that they're going to call you no matter what, but they'll call you within 24 hours for a positive test. But they don't call. And you can leave messages over and over and over again, but if you're They're not calling. My husband had 6 negative COVID tests when he had it. Jesus. So it looks like we are going to, here, I'm going to take you guys. I'll let you see the pool to the extent it's able to be seen. It's pretty cool. Nope. I have to. You don't trust the tests. Yeah, I get that. So, this is the pool. We're gonna have concrete over there. And there's the spa. And then we're gonna have grass. It's windy though. I mean, it's breezy. I don't know if you can tell. You can see the caution tape. It is, okay, so I know it looks really big. This dog. You can come out. You can't. It looks really big. It's 20 by 40. In the spa. But it's gonna have like that shelf thingy right here. I'm gonna have to host a lot of parties to make up for how big this is. But we weren't using the yard for anything, and we have enough like grass and stuff. So still looks a little muggy. It's actually super clear. I think it might just be the filter. I don't know if you can tell. It's super clear. It's way better. It's way better than it was. Hawk talk is good. No hawks to be reported. We did have a brief owl session over there. I'm not playing with you, dude. We did talk about having a party at the house one day. How deep will the pool be? Over 7 feet. I don't know if that's deep or not. Tim and I have never had a pool. This is a first for both of us. We have no idea what we're doing. We have no idea what we've gotten ourselves into. We're just jumping in head first. Again, excuse the pun. And wishing for the best. And hopefully it'll all work out. We got a really good pool guy. And we're going to have a great backyard. And there's a little gate right there. A lot of the golfers that we know, because the fence is right there, have asked us if we can just install like a little entry code on the gate so that they can come in. So what I'm thinking of doing is just like, maybe not an entry code, but like insert $20 here, access granted for the next hour. And then that'll work. Maybe one of the cute ones can be the pool boy, you know, like maybe like a cute gay guy. That way there's no issue. You know what I mean? We're really going to try to work this out. Maybe I'll start an OnlyFans or something. I'm sure it'll be fine. That's a joke. In case you couldn't figure that out. Lifeguard. Come on, dude. Legally blonde, exactly. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fine. It's all Heather the accountant. Exactly. Digital. Can you give updates on Digital Princess? What's Digital Princess? I'm going to feed these animals before they yell at me. I want a hot tub. A pool doesn't make as much sense. So what we did is we're making it, we're putting little spouts in. I knew that this was going to be an issue. We're putting spouts in that make it pump like water into the pool. Come on. Sorry, guys. Oh, Jesus. What happens when someone walks their dog? Go, Bella. Bella, go get him. They're so fun. Can you be quiet? Say hi to everybody. Say hi. I know there's another dog out there, and how dare it walk by our house. Okay, so that's it for the updates. Tim and I will go live for our Friday Night Live this week. Shots and all. We're going to need it. Yeah, because it's been a minute. So get your tequila ready for Friday. We'll probably go on around 5. And I will keep you guys updated if anything gets filed. That's it. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I will post this on YouTube once I download it. Love to you all.